Welcome, this is Troy Lorenz with Box Pure Air. You should watch this video if you have indoor air quality problems with your larger rooms over 1,200 square feet, like gymnasiums, locker rooms, media rooms, and music rooms. The schools that have watched this video have found the Apex 2.0 a powerful and economic solution to their indoor air quality needs. Now, the next slide outlines the performance and technical specification of each machine with the Apex on the left side and the Fellows unit on the right. Keep in mind the Fellows unit is a decent representation of the units that are used in homes and classrooms, but it has some real limitations when dealing with larger rooms. The first section we look at deals with the ventilation capacity of the units. The Apex has a medium speed setting capacity of 1,200 cubic feet per minute, while the Fellows unit only has 280 cubic feet per minute, which is a respectable setting for a classroom-sized portable air purification unit, but 4 to 5 times less than the Apex. That puts a big green check mark by the Apex. The next area of comparison is filtration. You'll see they both list HEPA filtration, but the Apex has US certified HEPA filtration at 99.999%. US certification has the highest standards in the world. That puts another check mark by the Apex. The next area of differentiation is the warranty. Both units have a 5-year comprehensive warranty. However, the Apex 2.0 has a lifetime warranty on craftsmanship, which is basically everything but the electric motor, which is the best in the industry. Another check mark for Apex. The next section has to do with where the units are made. The Apex 2.0 is made in the USA, which is of particular importance as we deal with supply chain problems. It's of course also better if you have warranty claims or need any special modification. That's checkmark number 4 for Apex. Let's go on to the next slide. The next slide, which is pretty straightforward, is the school gave us 2 rooms to work with, and the first room is the dining room. Now, this is probably called the cafeteria in most rooms, and it's 70 by 60 feet, which 70 times 60 is 4,200 square feet. On to the next slide. Now that we know what the room sizes are and the function they serve, we need to solve for the school's goal of 3 air exchanges per hour. Air exchanges per hour is a function of cubic feet per minute. When we do the numbers, that means we need machines that produce a total of 2,100 cubic feet per minute. Now let's do the numbers and see how they shake out. The next slide has a lot of numbers, and they're all related to our goal of creating 2,100 CFM and 3 air exchanges per hour. Now, when we work backwards with those numbers, given what these machines do at medium speed, we're going to need 1.75 Apex machines to produce that goal. We're going to need 7.5 of the Fellows unit to accomplish that goal. Now we'll separate this sheet. Let's focus on the Fellows side so that we can understand the math on both sides of the equation, since the math is done the same. On the Fellows side of it, we don't have 2 separate filters. When we purchase, we buy them in packets, 1 carbon, 1 pre-filter, and that packet costs $415 every time. They replace it 2 times a year based on their suggestions, and that's $830 per year. They also have a HEPA filter at $406 per unit, and they replace that 1 times a year, and that's $406. That means that our total annual filter cost for 1 machine is $1,236. Now remember, we have 7.5 of these machines because we need to get to 2,100 CFM. The total 5-year cost of filters in this example is this number times 5 years, which is shocking. $46,350 on filters versus our $1,964. The next thing we need to understand is how much did the machines cost? So we've got 1.75 Apex units The suggested retail of this unit is $5,399, which means $9,448. Now, we don't sell 0.75 of a unit, and Fellows doesn't sell 0.5 of a unit, but we wanted to make an apples-to-apples comparison. Over on the right-hand side, we've got our 7.5 Fellows units at an MSRP of $22.45. That means our total machines that we need to buy is $16,838. Now, when we do all the math and we take our filters plus what our machines cost, we end up with a total of $63,188 over 5 years versus $11,413 for the Apex. That difference is $51,755. That is, the Apex is that much cheaper. Now, usually schools would stop right there and make a phone call, but just in case, since we got 2 rooms of homework, let's go on to the next room, which will be much easier. Our next room is the media room, and that is 70 by 50 feet, which means that's 3,500 square feet. We know the next step. The next step being we need to figure out how much CFM we need to generate from both of our machines. With our goal being 3 air exchanges per hour, we know that we now need to figure out how many Apex versus how many Fellows units it's going to take to generate 1,750 cubic feet per minute. Now, in this next slide, we're going to move quickly through our numbers since we understand the methodology. We're solving for 1750 in CFM to generate our 3 air exchanges per hour. And we should first look at how many machines are we going to need to solve that goal. We're going to need 1.5 Apex units. We're going to need 6.3 Fellow units. That means, using basically the same math, that we're going to spend $8,999 purchasing 1.5 units. We're going to spend $14,144 purchasing 6.3 Fellow units. We're going to spend $1,964 over 5 years for the Apex filters and $38,934. Bottom line cost, $10,063 over 5 years for the Apex, $53,078 for the Fellows. That's a total difference of $43,015. Now, some of you might be saying on this next slide after I explain it that why didn't you start with this slide? Well, we know that for you facility directors, the devil's in the details. So let's just take a quick look at what all those numbers say. Basically, over a 5-year period, with the goal of each room wanting to produce 3 air exchanges per hour, with one room being 3,500 square feet and another 4,200, and we're dealing with the 5-year cost of each machine and filters, that the Apex 2.0 comes in at just $3 per square foot. Obviously, $15 per square foot is not reasonable. And that's the issue that you have when you try to use the wrong tool in the wrong situation. The Apex 2.0 is built for larger rooms. This next slide is pretty straightforward. We're just trying to give you a few pictures of the Apex 2.0, how easy the filters are to access, that it in fact is portable. You can see the polyurethane wheels. There's the back of the unit with the slots for the 2 EC motors. Again, an illustration of the unit tilted on its side. That's supposed to be a hand. Then we've got the front of the machine lifted up. This whole entire panel here is a HEPA filter, kind of a cross-section of the Apex, and then the filter gauge. Now, the one thing I want you to do is, if you're still hanging on here, make sure you look at this video because it'll give you a true sense of how easy the Apex is to maintain and service, change filters out, and just how portable it is. Well, thanks for tuning in, and I hope this presentation showed you how the Apex 2.0 checks all the boxes when it comes to larger rooms and indoor air quality.